Right. Hello, fellow Formula One fans. In this video, we're going to talk about some experiences and tips from the US Grand Prix in Austin. So we're going to start off with getting tickets. I signed up for notifications. I was getting emails every once in a while. Uh, you need to be ready so that you know when it's time to get tickets. Like the amount of time that there is to get tickets is very short. So I signed up months before tickets were on sale, and then we actually bought the tickets in March. It was March 17th, to be exact. So before you even get a notification, you got to decide on a couple things. Where do you want to sit? Which turn? Do you want to sit in the grandstands? Do you want general admission, which there are no seats? You just gonna have to bring your own seat or sit in the grass. And that's also going to affect how much you want to spend. We were at turn 15, section 4, lower level, row 5. I thought there were pretty good seats. You can see turn 12, and we can see the car slowing down. It's like a kind of like an S turn, and the seats for 3 days were around $800. If you want to spend several thousand, you can do that and get into the paddock club. Or you can go, I think the cheapest is general admission just for Sunday. And those are a few $100. But for $800, we had turn 15, section 4. They actually had seats with backs. It wasn't a bench. And it was for all 3 days. All right, so that's getting tickets. Now getting to Austin. So I bought the tickets in March, but in March I couldn't buy tickets, airplane tickets for October. It was too far out. So I ended up buying the tickets in around August. You can buy them earlier, but I found plenty of tickets in August. We arrived Thursday because we wanted to go Friday. So we arrived Thursday and then we left Monday. I know a lot of people were leaving the event after, like the race starts at 2 and it ends around 3:34. But I just didn't want to go through the stress of trying to leave Sunday night. When you get to the airport in Austin, expect that the Uber line is really busy. It took probably 20-30 minutes, a few cancellations. There were hundreds of other people trying to get Ubers, so just be patient. And look out for cool F1 stuff at the airport. Like right when we came down the escalator, we saw the Red Bull car. I got there pretty late. I got there probably around 8:30. So the shops, there was some shops selling merch at the airport. They were all closed, but we did get a chance to see some cool cars. Where to stay? So one of the things you're going to notice is when you buy tickets, you really can't book hotel because it's too far out, just like the airplane ticket. And then if you're a few months out, anything near the track, near COTA, Circuit of the Americas, anything downtown was really expensive. It was like $3,000 a night. So the good thing is if you go 20 minutes out, 30 minutes out, then you start getting into the $300 a night, $400 a night for an actual hotel. Motels are cheaper. Airbnbs were really hard to get, and I wouldn't trust an Airbnb because they can cancel kind of last minute. So you don't really need to be near the track. You can be further out, but the further out you get, the cheaper the hotel. Expect to pay a little bit more for Ubers. All right, getting to the track or parking. So there's the official parking at COTA. For 3 days, it's really expensive. It's $400 for 3 days if you go kind of the official route. The other option is you can park in a couple different places for free, but then you also have to buy shuttle tickets. So the official shuttle tickets from like there was a shopping mall, I can't remember the name. I think it was about $150 a person. So if you have more than one person, if you have two people, or if you have more than 2-3 people, maybe the parking is cheaper at $400. There's also other off-site parking that's there. Like people have land, like COTA is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and there's people that have land that they'll sell you spots. Just know that getting there, they block off a lot of streets. Like the police block off the streets, so you probably can't park there. You have to figure out how to get in and out. Uber to me seemed reasonable. We Ubered to a high school there, Del Valle or Del Val High School, and then there was a free shuttle that was 3.5 miles away. Uber on race day, which was the most expensive, on race day was about $70 each way, which I've paid way more in other places for events that were not even as busy. So $70 each way was the most expensive we paid for. It wasn't bad. It was kind of cool. We got pretty much Teslas most of the time there. You just need to be extremely patient. Wi-Fi doesn't work in most places because there's hundreds of other people. The Uber drivers keep canceling rides. You just need to be super patient if you want to use Uber. And I didn't see Lyft. It was exclusively Uber to get to Del Val High School. Once you actually get to the high school, it on non-race days, it was super quick to get to the track. On the race day, it took us probably 30 minutes each way once you're on the shuttle. And then once you're leaving, it's 30 minutes to 30 minutes to stand in line. And then another 20-30 minutes to probably get the Uber, somebody to actually say, I'm going to come give you a ride. And then once you get into the Uber, it takes probably 20-30 minutes to get to the highway, which is like super close, but there's a lot of traffic. And then once you're on the highway, you should be pretty good. So I would say on race day, probably plan an hour to 2 hours getting in and out, depending on when you're leaving. Okay. So let's talk about the actual race. Day one, or the actual event. So we were there for 3 days, all 3 days. Day one is Friday. We got to the track. It was my first time being in Austin and my first time in COTA. So we spent the first day just kind of looking around, trying to see where things are. You can buy merch if you want. Day one, the lines are the shortest for merch. You can check out some of the other stuff that's going on. Like they have this pit stop challenge where you get to like change a tire and things like that. They're just little booths that are set up everywhere. If you want to go to the track and see what's going on there, there's historic racing that was happening. There was like some Porsche races. We didn't really do any of that stuff. But we did go to FP1, the first practice. It was kind of cool to see the cars for the first time in person. But it was also, they drive around kind of slow. So if you want to take pictures and do things like that, if you want to figure out which lens, if you brought multiple lenses, which I did, focus points, things like that. So we took some cool pictures on day one. And you also, FP1, you also get a chance to see some other drivers. So I think there was 3 drivers this year that were doing FP1. So you can take pictures of them. There's also FP2 that happens later in the day. But by then we had already kind of decided we were going to leave and go get some rest for the next day. Saturday, again, more on-track stuff. So like on Friday, there was some qualifying for some of the historical races. And then I think they raced on Saturday. We came back and we watched FP3, and then we watched qualifying. Both were pretty fun. In FP3, everybody's flying around. Qualifying is great because that's when you get to see these guys going pretty much full speed. And there's other things happening at COTA. But we decided, we spent a bit on Friday and Saturday just going downtown Austin, checking out some places to eat. So that's what we did on the rest of the time on Saturday. Day 3, the race is at 2:00, but starting at I think it was noon. You have the driver's parade and other things going on, which is cool. You get to see like the what are they, like the safety car does some hot laps around, checking out the track. It was pretty cool because we saw the Aston Martin. They were getting sideways, smoke coming off the tires. It was actually pretty cool. Before this race starts, be sure you get to your seat because a couple things happen. One, everybody goes to the bathroom before the race and after the race. So if you need to take care of any of that stuff, get water, do that, then go to your seats, because we saw a lot of people that were confused where they sit. They didn't know, are they in this section? Are they in the next section? A lot of people sitting in the wrong place. You might have to have a conversation with someone and show your tickets and say, I think you're in the wrong spot. The seats are comfortable, but they're pretty tight. Like you gotta be friendly with the person sitting next to you, because the seats it's like you're on an airplane, sort of. Really tight seats. So just be sure you get to your seats in time before like the formation lap starts and things like that if you want to watch the whole thing. And we'll talk about actually watching the race in a little bit. The next thing, buying merch. So they had lots of merch available. They're not going to run out. Like there's boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff everywhere. Like if you see a few hats and you think they're going to run out, they got 20 boxes in the back with the same hat. There's some cool stuff like posters that you might want to grab. The one thing is, everything is expensive. Like, I'll give you an example. So I bought a Red Bull hat from the F1 store online. It was $35 with, there's sales happening all the time. Every week there's like a different code that they tell you about. Sometimes it's free shipping. Sometimes it's 10% to like 35% off. I think right now, I even saw like 40, 50% off. So I bought a Red Bull hat. It was $35. The same exact hat that I saw there was $80. And it was $80 the whole time. It wasn't like after the race or on the last day, everything gets cheaper because they don't want to pack it up. The prices for merch do not change. So if you need something, get it the first day, less amount of people. There was some hats, like the Haas team. Haas team had like a sale, like 2 hats for 20 or $40. There's a Formula One outlet area that had like other stuff that you probably really don't want unless you're looking for a bargain. Right when you walk into COTA, you'll see all the lines, everybody's selling merch. If you just walk another 10 minutes around the corner, you'll see same exact booths with nobody there. So, if you don't want to stand in line, just go for a walk. I would honestly recommend buying whatever you want from the store weeks or months earlier. Like I bought my hat maybe a month earlier. It took like 2-3 weeks to get. So I had it a couple weeks before the race. It's just, it'll be just cheaper. If you really, really want something, while you're there, go ahead and grab it. There's also like COTA specific things you can buy. And I saw a lot of people buying that stuff, but I just wasn't interested. In terms of food, you had all your normal burgers, pizza, hot dogs, and all that stuff. You had some stuff that was kind of exotic, like barbecue, but it was a bit on the expensive side for what you get. Like you get a little pulled pork sandwich with some chips for $20. It's Texas, it's Austin. If you want barbecue, like good stuff, go to like Terry Black's, which is closer to downtown. And you'll just get really, really good stuff. You can just Yelp it. If you want pizza, there's Desano's. We went to Desano's a couple times. Really good. If you want to go to a nicer place, you probably have to call ahead of time. Like we couldn't get reservations at other places. It was usually the non-reservation places that we were able to get. Let's see. Yeah, the prices for food weren't bad. I mean, they're more than you're going to pay somewhere else, but they wasn't bad. Like I've been to NFL and Major League Baseball games that were way more expensive. So, the most expensive thing to eat was probably like $20. And we'll talk about beverages and things later. The food and drink stations closest to the entrance, just like the merch places, are always the busiest. If you walk another 10 minutes, the lines are way shorter. The longest line we stood in was Juicy's right when you come in, and it took about 20 minutes. So they're not bad. It's not like you're waiting hours to get food. These places don't take cash, so make sure you have your credit cards and your phones ready if you're doing tap to pay. Wi-Fi isn't great, so we had a few incidents where we were trying to get drinks, and the machine that they were using that had like Square or whatever they were using to pay wasn't working, and they just said like, "There's a long line, just go. Drinks are on us." So that was kind of cool, but just be sure you bring a credit card and maybe a backup credit card. And some places like they might not take American Express, so make sure you have Visa, MasterCard. In terms of bathrooms, I was surprised at how clean they were. I've been to other events where they're horrific, but there's bathrooms kind of everywhere. There's bathrooms when you take the bus at Del Val High School. There's bathrooms right when you arrive, because right when you arrive where the bus drops you off at COTA, you have to probably walk another 10-15 minutes. There's bathrooms everywhere, and there's buildings, and there's porta potties. I was honestly super surprised how clean the porta potties were every day. And if you do decide to go to a porta potty, try to go to the furthest one. Every time I would walk to the furthest one, and there'll be like a line of 50. I'd go to the 50th one. It looked like nobody had been there. Like it was, brand new, sparkling clean. Nobody had touched it. The bathroom lines right before the race and right after the race are long. Like there's people out the door. It'll take you 20-30 minutes, about 20-30 minutes to get in. So just make sure that you're not, drinking too much. And if you are, just use the restroom 20-30 minutes before the race, and then just wait after the race, because the lines die down after 30 minutes. All right, now getting around COTA. COTA is huge. The track itself is 3.5 miles. And there's plenty of ways to kind of walk around everything. But if you're like on turn 15 and you decide you want to go check out turn 3, you're going to be walking for 20 minutes at least. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to make a short trip. Like everything takes 20 minutes to get to. The maps that they put there aren't great. So what I mean is you're not going to find the "You Are Here" sticker. They're all oriented the same way. So we the first day there was a bunch of us standing around trying to figure out where we are and how to get to our seats. Luckily, we were at turn 15, which is like right by the entrance. You go straight and you get into the turn 15 grandstands. But trying to figure out like, how do I get to this other shop or this other restaurant or this other thing? It took a while the first day. So the first day, spend some time walking around just to know where everything is. By race day, you'll kind of know where everything is. And we walked around kind of both ways. Like we went to the left and we went to the right. I think to go all the way around, it's probably way more than 30 minutes. But there's like shortcuts, like you can kind of walk over the track. There's like little tunnel areas where you can get you can cut across the track, and you can actually walk on the track later, which we'll talk about in a little bit. There's also concerts happening after the races, like directly after the race or in the evenings. So there's some people that doors open at like 9 a.m. You can show up at 9. And then you can leave whenever the doors close. There were concerts that were happening that were free. If you have your ticket, you just kind of walk in. There's a little amphitheater there. Like Ed Sheeran played, Interpol was there. Shaq was DJing right after the race. We didn't really go to any of these, so I wasn't sure how busy they were, but you can hear them playing. In terms of watching the race, it might be sunny, it might be cloudy. We had a little bit of both. When it was cloudy, it was nice because there was a nice little breeze. We didn't put on any sunscreen or anything like that. We didn't feel like we needed it. The race is at 2 p.m. So depending on the seats, you might have sun in your face. We were at turn 15. Sun was always in our back, which I liked. It was sunny. It was kind of hot. I made sure I had water, but it wasn't bad. Like it was, and I've been to other sporting events where it was really, really bad, and you just need to go find shade. We were fine. The lap times at COTA are around a minute and 20 seconds. So every minute or so, you'll see your favorite driver make their way around, and then you'll see them for about 20 seconds as they're going by. And once all the drivers kind of, after a few laps, everybody's kind of scattered. So there's always drivers coming, but if you want to see what the action is, they have screens you can kind of look at. There are some speakers that they put out so that you can hear some of the commentary. But when the cars come by, you're not going to hear the commentary. The cars get loud. They're not crazy loud. Like we didn't put in any ear protection, but they're louder than the commentary they have playing on the little speakers. Let's see. It's going to be a different experience than when you're at home. At home, they have different camera angles. When you're sitting there, if you're just staring at the track, it'll get boring. So you have to kind of like look at the track. Once your driver gets by, you'll then look at the screen, and then you'll look at the track again. So it's a different experience. You kind of don't know what's going on. Like there was the Fernando Alonso this time, caught some air off of, I think, Lance Stroll, and we missed it. We just heard people making, noise on some other part of the track, but we didn't see what was going on. It wasn't really in front of us. We can see turn 12, we can see turn 15, but you don't see the rest of the track. So you either have to pay attention to the screens, or they were also it's also like being broadcast on, I think, AM or FM, because there was like, you can buy little headphones with an AM FM transmitter, or just bring your own little radio with your headphones. But it's going to be a different experience. We loved it. I thought it was fun, but it is a different experience than watching it at home. Last point, after the race. So like immediately after the race, a bunch of people, like the people behind us, they said like they got to go catch a flight. So as soon as people were clapping because Verstappen crossed the line, they were up and trying to run out of there. A bunch of people were trying to leave immediately. So if you do have to catch a flight, it's going to take you a few hours to get to the airport between standing in line, getting an Uber, everything. So I wouldn't even recommend leaving the same day, unless you have like a 9 p.m. flight. But if you have like a 6 o'clock flight and the race ends at 4, I would be super stressed out. I would say forget it. We weren't leaving till the next day, so we took our time. We were able to get on the track, walked around. We walked around the track for probably an hour. We went to where the grandstands were, where the starting is, took a picture. You can see they're loading the cars. They were packing up the gear, breaking down the pits. I have videos and pictures. I'll create another video for that. But that's what we did. And it was kind of like chill, like half the people had left. Food and drinks, everything but alcohol was 50% off after the race. Merch, again, like I said, was full price. There's less people. So if you didn't get a chance to walk around COTA, maybe after a race is a good time because half the people would have left. But there's still way more people than day one. Or you can just walk around the track. Couple things we noticed is right where the race starts, that first turn 1, it's really like it's a huge elevation change. It goes uphill. We walked down And then we tried to walk back up. It was really hard to walk back up. I don't know what the grade is. I didn't look it up, but it was kind of interesting to see how wide the track is. The track isn't really in good condition. Like there's little holes that they had filled with different materials. There were people like ripping off signs. Like there was people trying to like rip off the Rolex signs and a bunch of other things to take home as souvenirs. If you really wanted to, there's little bits of tires everywhere. We saw people collecting those. We just walked around, took pictures. So it was kind of cool. We saw like the teams were taking pictures, like Red Bull were taking pictures. We couldn't get there because there was a big crowd, but a few of the mechanics got up onto the fence, were pouring like beer and champagne on the folks. So it's a fun experience if you can stay after. And if you're planning to go like one race, you want to make sure you get all that stuff done. So that's it. Thank you for watching the video. I'll be uploading some of the videos I took at the track and some pictures. If you have questions, please leave some comments. Thank you.